Forecast for Monday the 31st of March. After a cold night, getting warmer quickly. Sea calm feels like 3 degrees before 9 a.m, 7 a.m. 5 degrees, 9 a.m. 10 degrees, 12 a.m. 12 degrees, 3 p.m. 14 degrees, 6 p.m. 12 degrees. Sea temperature 8.9 degrees, nice and warm in the late afternoon on around low tide and not getting dark until after 6 p.m. Best swim in the sun early until 10:30 a.m.
Every morning the troop assemble and take their swimming exercise. A distance of half a mile at a speed set by the leader. Yet the mermaids seem remarkably fresh at the finish.
I was born into a world without refrigerators. One house in 300 had a car. It was that sort of arrangement. And about one house in, I'd say 6 or 10, had a radio. Television didn't come for a long time after that. So, what you learned came from the newspapers, and it wasn't necessarily the truth. But, it was a different world altogether. There was a class system before the war, and my father was a professional engineer. He was a civil engineer, and we lived in a fairly nice house, and we had a car. It had mica windows, mind you, but and we had what you would call an au pair now, an Irish girl or a German girl who would come and live with us and look after the children. I didn't see a lot of my mother in between times. It was, I was upstairs in the nursery with the girl that looked after us. But as soon as the war came, I was an evacuee.
I am speaking to you from the cabinet room at 10 Downing Street. This morning, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock, that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
Yeah, I was 12 by the time 11 or 12 by the time I actually got back home and started living a proper life. I did go back to a school near home, but that got a doodlebug on it, so I went off. I was an evacuee again. These things were just part and parcel of the war. You moved around to be safe, just like the people in Central Europe now are rushing around to be safe. 4-minute warning was on everybody's mind. The Russians were an obvious threat, and it had been worked out that the country could give everybody a warning 4 minutes before an atomic bomb was dropped. And we lived with the constant fear that at any moment the Russians could drop a nuclear weapon, an H-bomb, with just 4 minutes warning.
It looks something like this. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. If you were not ready and did not know what to do, it could hurt you in different ways. It could knock you down hard or throw you against a tree or a wall. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings and knock signboards over and break windows all over town. Our civil defense workers and our men in uniform will do everything they can to warn us before enemy planes can bring a bomb near us. You may be in your schoolyard playing when the signal comes.
Remember what to do, friends. Now tell me right out loud. What are you supposed to do when you see the flash?
When I moved down here, I was able to swim regularly every day. I feel, in a way, that all these things are partly a result of what you put into it. You know, it's no good sort of accepting a situation. You've got to do something with that situation to make it work and make it be something. And I've always felt that about most things, but the swimming, it's worked extremely well. It was the swimmers, really, that they just sort of gathered round me, and I feel very happy.
I've been swimming with the mermaids for a year now. I was feeling down. COVID was getting to me, and I just read about Wim Hof, the guy that advocates the cold. He went from being suicidal to being, you know, finding a new partner and having a new family after his wife had died. You know, and it kind of, and it was that facilitated his change to start living again. And I just felt, I want a bit of that. I want something to make me want to feel alive. I'm a carer. I care for my husband, who's got type 2 diabetes. And it's advanced, so he's got problems with his mobility, foot ulcers, he's got problems with balance. And I was, you know, concerned that I seemed to be needed all the time, and I just wanted some time for myself. And at 7 o'clock, from 7 till 8 in the morning, you know, before I go to get him up, that's time when I can do what I want. So that's what I do. In my dreams, I see you, for there is no
watch each other getting in and out of the sea. So you'll always have somebody sort of spotting you. So you're in the sea swimming and it'll be a bit rough, and they'll say, it's all right, I'll wait until you get out. And it's sort of a support before you even say anything to each other. You're sort of supporting each other in the fact that you're making sure they're safe. Then you sit down and talk about each other's lives and what's going on. And most people are sort of there because something has been a bit of a stress, and they're swimming to get rid of the stress. The lady that lives across the road from me, Sarah, she's been swimming with the mermaids for about 7 years. And she started swimming when she was in a bit of a crisis. She was having a bit of a life crisis, and she was just walking on the beach one day and bumped into Ruth. And when lockdown happened, I'd always worked full time, got up really, really early in the morning, driven off to work. And when I wasn't driving anywhere, was furloughed, I was like, I can absolutely do that now. That's something I can go and do with my time. So it hadn't really sort of hit the press or anything 2 years ago. But Sarah had been going and saying it made her feel much better, and it was just sort of a really good way to clear her mind. And I was taking redundancy and having a life crisis about my career, didn't know what I was going to be doing with myself. And it just, I did sort of every now and again contemplate just swimming straight out. But I always came back, so it was okay. I've got a bit of a thing, so you have to get in quickly. Do not linger, that is really silly, because you just won't go in. Go in, I exhale before I get in, and the first stroke I do, I take a massive intake of breath, and as you're swimming, it just sort of calms you down, because your body literally sort of starts to panic as soon as you get in.
All other tensions and worries, and it's just left my body and my mind.
I think it's a lovely sort of set of supportive people, and it's really interesting that because we sort of have a set time to meet in the morning, but not necessarily, so you never quite know who's going to be there. It's sort of like a modern women's institute, so it's mostly women. I think a lot of those women have brought up children, and their children have left home, and there's a bit of a gap in their lives where, you know, it's either mums at the school gates, where they're retiring. Women generally don't go down the pub like men do as well, that sort of that generation. So I think it's a social thing. I think it does show that women probably have a higher pain threshold, because not many men get in, and when they do, they all squeal their heads off.
I think I was 70, 74, something like 74, 75, when I just became totally female. And everyone round here accepted me, and I was 81 when I had the operation. I think I'm the oldest person ever to have the operation. It's very difficult to say this. I feel female now. All my thoughts are female thoughts, and that, and this actually changes. When I was a male, I shudder to think of some of the thoughts and ways I had, which were sort of male against female, sort of females were down there sort of thing. I can't believe that I actually felt like that, but I did. I had that sort of male attitude that I fight against now, because I just, my mind has changed.
Do you understand, and do you have like a deeper empathy for female issues and feminist issues?
Absolutely.
Do you feel it even stronger, would you say?
Oh, yes. The longer I live as a female, the more I feel like it. I didn't realise you were coming.
Yeah, I finally got here at last.
If you get somebody on their own, you can kind of like offload your worries, and they're always willing to listen. This morning somebody told me something about her life, something really exciting and uplifting. She was so delighted to tell me, and I was so delighted that she had told me. It made me feel better because I was able to share in her new life experience that she was so excited about.
These people come and swim because, to start with, there's good company, but secondly, they get the health benefits of it.
One of the reasons I do go is because when these older ladies who are in their 70s get their kit off, they all look amazing. So it's really inspiring to keep doing it, to keep fit and healthy. Because I work in fashion, how you look is really important. And when you sort of go into a meeting room, or you walk into a room of other people at a textiles fair, or in Paris shopping or anything, everybody looks at how you're dressed. And on the beach, everyone is pretty much naked, apart from a swimsuit, if you're lucky. Sometimes they don't wear swimsuits. So it's really levelling. It's really interesting at how being absolutely bloody freezing sometimes in a swimsuit, nobody cares. And I really liked that bit. It was quite sort of freeing for me.
It's like a full-time hobby.
Okay.
Work to me is working for Age UK and doing all these conferences and things like that. But the swimmers group is something that I do just because it's there and it's been started and it's got itself going. It wasn't officially started, it just started.
Whenever one of my friends comes and hangs out with me, comes for the weekend, I always drag them down the beach. If I'm there for the weekend, then they're coming down to the beach too. And I think it's a lovely thing to be able to do with people, because I don't think they believe they'll be able to do it.
I've been working, so yeah. You feel a bit, you look a bit better.
I did 100 strokes.
Oh, fantastic.
So we spoke to Ruth about her accident, and apparently you were quite involved.
So I was the first. So there was a guy on scene as I got there. We were pulling into the street, my mum was driving, I realised it was Ruth's car. There was a man at the door of the car. I jumped out of my mum's car, my mum went and parked up around the corner. I ran over and I said to the guy, "Is Ruth still in the car?" He said, "Oh, do you know her?" Yes, he'd literally just turned the key in the engine to switch the engine off. And I held her head still whilst we waited for the ambulance and tried to keep her conscious and talk to her. I know how old Ruth is. You could see that the car was completely smashed. She'd bashed her face, so there was blood on her face. And she lost consciousness as I was holding onto her. So I pretty much didn't think there was much hope. I thought she'd probably had a heart attack at some point, but we couldn't get her out. The point was, my first reaction was to get her out of the car, and this lovely man that had stopped first was a first aider, and he was also part of the lifeboat people and he said, no, we leave her in, we only get her out when they're able to stabilise her. So luckily he was there before me, but yeah, I was really scared. It was pretty horrible, and we waited until me and my mum stood there and waited until they airlifted her. It was quite traumatic because she's a bit of, she's a local celebrity, so anybody that knows her was then stopping me in the street and asking, and it was great to be able to say she's going to be okay, because at the time I thought I was like the last person that was going to have seen her alive. It was pretty horrible.
To start with, I got hundreds of messages when I was sort of in ICU and getting better, from people saying, we prayed for you, we've done this and we've done that. 7 or so of them came into the house, and they worked for 3 days just piling everything into piles and making sure that they were well sorted. And so when I came home to something that was clean and ready. Morning and evening, somebody came and cooked a meal for me. It was wonderful. And I felt that I was really being cared for.
She was amazing. And then when she came down to the beach for the first time, loads of us met up, and it was really nice to actually see her hanging out on the beach and sitting on the bench, and then finally getting into the sea again. That was amazing. I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, well, have a good swim. Yeah. I'm determined to swim every morning till I'm 90, and that's only a year and a bit. And after 90, I will decide whether I take some of the really rough days off. I think I deserve it then, but I'll decide when I'm 90. I'm not going to decide now. I've achieved something today. Every day I can say I've achieved something by going swimming, and I don't have to sit here and watch the rain outside and wonder if I'm going to be able to go out and have any exercise or something like that. I say, it's done! And I can spend the rest of the day doing what I feel like.